Well, obviously, it hasn't been only Taiwan that has dropped. So, to some extent, we're falling in sympathy with the U.S. market, and in particular the tech sector in the U.S. And obviously, Taiwan itself is very heavily weighted in tech names, too. So, I don't think it's uniquely a Taiwan issue. It's not even uniquely a tech issue. The fact is that we've had 2 years of very strong upward momentum in markets, with driven by very loose monetary policies. That monetary policy is clearly shifting to a tighter regime, and therefore it's not unexpected to see some weakness in the equity markets. On top of that, of course, tech has been performing particularly well during the COVID epidemic as more individuals are working from home or otherwise requiring more IT support and IT equipment, front loading a lot of that demand in those 2 years, creating shortages in the semiconductor space, which has led to very aggressive increase in capital spending, but of course, very strong earnings results over the past 2 years as well. And so all of this is now beginning to unwind.
So the Taiwan Institute of Economic Research earlier this week projected that Taiwan should still see 4.1% GDP growth this year. How do you think that this week's stock market performance is going to impact on that?
Well, I think we all know that stock markets discount the future earnings and economic outlook more than the current case. And I don't know the details of the TI forecast on a quarter by quarter basis. But again, what the market is saying is that in the latter part of the year, and certainly as we move into next year, as I said, all those factors that I mentioned, the front loading of a lot of that tech demand, the increase in capacity, which of course drives GDP growth, but not necessarily share price.
So is there anything that can be done to halt the declines in the stock market here?
Well, I don't know that it's in anyone's benefit to halt the decline of a stock market if that's the natural direction of the stock market. Even for investors themselves, they have to accept that there is going to be upside and downside, and there's no benefit to artificially propping up the stock market. So I think we're going to have to accept the fact that we are moving into a more bearish market environment, and that we'll probably see continued volatility and probably more downside in equity prices over the next perhaps several quarters even.